Back at it again here, guys, with the 52 Chevy. Please consider subscribing if you want to follow the journey of this thing. So today we're going to try and get her running. So, oops, some spiders. Today we're going to try and get her running, so I got to do the whole entire ignition system and then throw some oil in there. And yeah, it should be a pretty interesting day. It hasn't ran over 40 years. God, that'd be cool to see this thing run. All right, so I'm gonna get cracking. All right, so here's all the stuff we're gonna be using today. I picked up a battery from a junkyard, some starting fluid. I've got new plug wires, new plugs, a new 12-volt coil with condenser inside so I don't burn out my points. I also have a new cap, new rotor. I've got filter and oil, just in case you guys are thinking about doing it too. Some spare wire just in case. And I'll link all the electrical parts in the description there if you guys are thinking about trying this as well. And hopefully we'll get her going. The battery held the charge when I took a voltmeter to it. So hopefully this should be all the stuff I need. It'd be kind of a bummer if I forgot something. So hopefully that'll do it. It turns! Alright, first things first is we're taking this bolt out. Get the old oil out. It royally sucked to strip that and have our little adventure end. So I lubed her up. I'm going to let her sit for a minute. Change the oil. I had the Marvel Mystery Oil in here as well on top of the cylinder heads before I turned it last time I was out here. So hopefully that comes out nice and our adventure will continue. I got the drain pan. Save the environment, all that good stuff. Work on getting that out. All right, so let's take this thing out. Full disclosure, I guess, I did loosen it by hand. I did it very slowly because I really didn't want to strip it out. So you guys didn't see that, but let's see what some 40-year-old oil looks like, huh? Ooh, the suspense, it's rising. What a big ass drain plug too. I think that was a 7/8. Huge. There she is. That oil is 40 years old. God. You'd think it would have thickened up over all that time, but it don't look bad. Oh, don't drain out the side. Yep, here we go. She's draining out. The Marvel Mystery Oil is in there too, so draining all of it out. I got some new oil to put in there. All right, well, I'm gonna let that drain. All right, so let's throw some new oil in this girl. So I have a new filter, which came with a ring, and I'll throw it all in the link and all that good stuff. So I got that in there. This was pretty dirty when I cleaned it out, so I cleaned it really good. And the pin that it holds it in actually broke, so I need to find a replacement for that. So the pin actually broke. It came with a new seal as well. I have the drain plug back in, which that went really smoothly, which I was really happy about. So now we're going to dump in some new oil. So I've got just 1030 whatever oil, which should be fine. I read 5 quarts will work okay too, so I'm going to just do the 5 quarts. I'm going to dump a bit on my filter here, and I'm not used to filters like this, so if I'm doing this completely wrong, I apologize, but I'm just going for it. So there's that. I would assume we'd want to get these valves all nice and chunkied up too here. And you know, I know how the rings normally you put a seal on it, so since I don't have that ring there, I guess I'll just take a quick lube it up fast, I guess. I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm no pro or nothing. Just gonna lube up the outside there. And then I'll throw that there. I assume the spring holds it in like that. So then we have our seal, and this doesn't have the thread on it, so that's just gonna be sitting kind of funky. Alright, so we ended up getting that pin through there, and we're going to bungee cord this down since it wasn't threaded. And I got to find a good spot yet to do that. I tapped on this with a hammer a few times. I'll find a place for it. Tapped on this with a hammer a few times. Hopefully that'll And I'm just doing 5 quarts, which is recommended on the internet there. Good old Google machine. Just dump all that in there, and that'll be set for oil, I guess. Oh, quit heckling me, fly. Yeah. So that'll be that. Oil component completed. You'll notice we have a little bit of a leak on the cover there, so I need a new seal for that, but we're only going to run it for a little bit, hopefully just to see if it runs, so that'll get replaced if we find out if she's a runner. Alright, fresh spark plug time. I just put these in finger tight when I put in the Marble Mystery Oil. Alright, so once that's done, I'll come back. And there you have it, all new spark plugs. There's our old ones. Alright, so we have the old cap and rotor. And I have my new cap and rotor, and the new cap's got that chunk of metal right there. I hope that's not going to cause a problem. The old one looks like. My new rotor. And I have, I believe this is called a condenser, don't quote me on that, but I have a new one of these as well, but that one actually looks good and pretty intact, so I'm just not going to touch that. This old rusty engine. Here's the old coil I had. It says Mopar. I'm sure my grandpa stole it off something, and probably burnt out. We don't have the generator on there, so I'm sure that got burnt out. I just want to see if it runs, so I'm not throwing a new generator on there. And then I have this new one with an internal resistor, so I think I looked up that that should not burn out my points on there, hopefully. Alright, so we are all wired up, and I believe the saying is 15 is too young, so cylinder 1, cylinder 5. And then it's 36 is too old, cylinder 3, cylinder 6. And then it's 24 is just right, so cylinder 2, cylinder 4, and then I have my 12-volt coil with internal resistor in there as well. So now the tricky bits, which I'm not 100% sure how to figure out, is getting the rest of the wiring figured out. Alright, so after reading some, you see the posts on the coil there, positive, negative, about 20 minutes of reading here. So we'll see that the positive is going to come from the starter there, so that wire that's kind of hanging off. And then the negative goes to that one on the bottom of the distributor. So we'll get that wired in. Okay, so we have the positive hooked up through here, through where the positive cable is, and the negative hooked on to where the distributor is. So we should be good to go. It does roll, so my dad's hopping in there to roll it over, and let's see if we got some spark and if everything's hooked up right.
You tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, it should be good.
I'll hold the clutch in again.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even hold the clutch in, I just hit it.
Okay, I'm going to turn the key. Here we go.
You gotta push it all the way. Not that I'm seeing. Or,
the other way. Want to try that?
Yeah, go ahead. I think our ground might have been smoking a little bit there.
Nothing?
No, we got some wires smoking here, so let's hold for a sec.
Let's unhook your battery. Unhook your battery. You unhook it?
Yep. Okay. That wire there was smoking.
Oh. So that probably can't handle that much.
Well, the wires should all be okay. Yeah, it is sparking when I touch it. Yeah. All right, yeah, we're good.
Here we go.
Hey, it's sparking. Hey.
Disconnected.
So what happened between me not having spark and having spark? Well, full disclosure, I did have the cap on backwards, ended up just flipping the cap, and then I had spark. But at this point, we had been rolling it over quite a bit, so I think my battery is probably getting a little smoked at this point, but just full disclosure-wise, I did have it on backwards. All right, give it a go, I guess.
Nothing.
Oh.
So I'm not sure exactly what wire is smoking here. I'll have to figigure that out in a little bit here. And then here the battery was getting a little bit dead, and we also think we're possibly having a valve problem. So we've dumped about 16 ounces of gas probably down the carb. It's gone down just fine, but not sure if those valves are opening because the spark plugs are also pretty dry right now. So that's kind of the problem we were having, and we had to call her quits just because the battery was toast.
Let's pull a plug and think the plugs are wet.
A bit of an abrupt end to that one, guys. So our battery ran out of juice, had to bring her back to home base, and we got her recharged. So it is recharged, but when we were looking at the plugs the whole time, there was no, it didn't smell like gas, and there was nothing. This is the old one, I just brought it home for example's sake, but there was no oil or gas smell on the end of the plug. So talking to some guys in a forum I'm in, it sounds like my valves are probably not opening all the way, not letting anything in there. So I'm going to be running out there soon again. I'm going to soak the valves in this Marvel Mystery Oil, which should hopefully open those up, give it a few taps with a hammer, and then hopefully get those valves to open up. Because we did dump in probably 16 ounces of gas in that carburetor too, which I was not able to catch on film. But that's kind of the plan. And here's a couple other parts we're going to be throwing in here. I found a battery box in an old truck. Found a horn. I have a bunch of old cables that I might have to slice into here. And I have found a new pin for the top of that oil filter that I had bungee cord down. So we have a couple new things, and then I found a nice tailgate too. So do have a couple nice new things. That was a farm truck, so the tailgate's destroyed, but a couple new things. I think we gotta get those valves open, and I think, fingers crossed, we will be running. So I think we'll be okay, but our battery was toast at the end there. So unable to do much more with it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content, and next time I think we will get it started. So you guys have a good one. Before we end it, I always want to recap how much money it's going to cost you guys to do this. So I want you to know how much I'm spending on everything and if this is possibly something that you could do as well. So I'm going to recap how much money I've spent on the truck every single episode. And when I was out at the junkyard, if you guys watched that video, you'll see I got a tailgate, battery box, brackets, horn, front wiring harness, which you guys probably wouldn't need just to check if the engine works. So I have like a running total for me and then a total that probably you would need too. You probably wouldn't need the assembly manual as well, but I needed that to see how ignition stuff worked, and I just don't know how all that stuff works. So this is the total so far. For all of this ignition stuff, so far it's been $156 to see if it works. But for me, I can kind of justify it because I can use this cap, this rotor, the ignition coil, the filter, the spark plugs. I can use all of that stuff. If my motor was cooked, I could just freshen up the motor I'd have to get to replace it. So kind of sucks that I don't know if it works exactly yet, but if my motor was cooked, I could use all this stuff to replace it. So that's where I'm at money-wise. So if you guys wanted to keep track and if you're wanting to build something yourself, and that's where we're at. So hopefully we'll be working on it here again soon.